Hey there, powerful one. Welcome to episode 6 of our adventure in looking at our power of choice. The last 5 episodes, we focused on 5 of our superpowers. And in this episode, we will bring it all together as we look at how they are all rooted in our power of choice. So a guy joined a monastery and he took a vow of silence. He was allowed to say 2 words every 7 years. So after the first 7 years, the elders brought him in and asked for his 2 words. Cold floors, he said. They nodded and sent him away. 7 more years passed, and again they brought him back in and asked for his 2 words. He cleared his throat and said, bad food. They nodded again and sent him away. 7 more years passed, and once again they brought him in for his 2 words. I quit, he said. That's not surprising, the elder replied. You've done nothing but complain since you got here. Touché, elder, touché. 2 things jumped out at me in that joke. The first one was he allowed himself to be limited to 2 words every 7 years because he could speak as many words as possible if he wanted to. Number 2, he specifically chose those 2 words that he used. I mean, the guy had 7 years to think about what he was going to say, and those were the words that he chose. I can only imagine the stories he had behind the choice of words he made. You know, maybe he mentioned cold floors, not to complain, but to share that others were getting sick because of it. And maybe bad food was his way of mentioning that the food was spoiled and was causing illness among the villagers, maybe even causing death. And maybe when he said, I quit, he was meaning that he was going to stop trying to control everything that was outside of his control and focus on love. We may not know. It may take another 7 years to find out. I also wondered how differently the story would have turned out if instead each year he chose to just say the 2 words, thank you. Every 7 years. We have heard it called free will in the religious circles, and we strive for a freedom from the constraints, of this world. And our power of choice seems to be the core of our existence on this planet. When we look at the 5 superpowers we talked about in the previous episodes, at the root of them all is the power of choice. The power to question is a choice to question. The power of no is the choice to say no. The power to laugh is the choice to laugh. The power of thank you is a choice to be grateful. And the power of now is the choice to come back to this moment. Every moment is a choice between unconditional love and the fear of losing conditional love. Now you may say to yourself that it doesn't really feel like a choice there. I feel what I feel. But why we feel that way is because our reaction to things has become a habit. A learned habit, really a conditioned habit that we have been introduced to since we were very young. When we can slow down the emotional reaction to a situation and really take a look at it, we can pinpoint the moment when the decision to choose conditional love was made. We can change our habits. We can do this by questioning the decisions we're making each moment. We can purpose that, the next time we feel an uncomfortable emotion, that it will be our flag that something can be questioned inside us. Recognize that you have that power to choose and to choose differently. We can start, to become aware of the power of choice with a simple experiment. We can start with being conscious of that feeling we have when we get to choose between, let's say, root beer and Dr. Pepper. Immediately, your brain starts recalling its conditional preference because of what other people's opinions were, or because of how something tasted 15 years ago. Or maybe even we saw an advertisement or saw some information that we witnessed about their beneficial or unhealthy qualities. So in that moment where we pause to choose, feel that power. Feel that feeling. We can choose whatever we want. Even if it were two beverages you had never tasted or heard of before. Sit in that and feel your power to choose whatever you want. You can even choose neither of them. We never have to do anything we don't want to do. It's a choice. And if we feel we have no choice, then we can look at the fear at the root of that hopelessness. So, like if we feel we have to go to work, well, we don't have to. We could stay home, and if we've done that enough, we might not have a job at that place anymore. And we can go look for another job. And if we can't find a job, we might not be able to afford all those extra things that we like outside of food, water, and shelter, our necessities. And we might have to move to a smaller home and tighten our belts with spending. And we might end up not having a place to live, and might end up asking friends and family for help or a couch to sleep on until we can get back on our feet. Or we might need to seek assistance from the government. So many choices we get to make. Inside, we might fear what people would think about us if any of that happened to us. We might fear that others would not help us, and we might take that personally, thinking that we're unacceptable or unlovable in some way. Or we might fear a painful death, or that we would die alone. So these are the types of fears that are flowing below the surface, and we are unaware of them until something echoes up from those caverns, triggered by a surface fear. Our superpowers come into play as we choose to question those fears and beliefs, and then exercise that power of choice to say no, or to laugh, or to come back to that moment, or to be grateful. Next episode, we're going to begin the fun trip to the funny farm as we look at the stories that we tell ourselves, these beliefs, and then those emotions that are exploding inside of us because of those stories. And then we'll talk about how we can ignite our power of choice to choose differently. So we're kind of just going to put it all into action. So until then, think about how powerful you really are. Meditate on this great power of choice that you have. See yourself as the amazing creator of your life. The big kahuna, he brings us all the classrooms we've asked for so we can learn what we came here to learn and experience what we came here to experience. But we were also given the free will to choose what everything would mean to us and how it would impact us. So think on that. And remember, you never have to do anything you don't want to do.